Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play ChäoS Head. In the last episode, Takumi had chosen to hide out between his base and At Cafe in an attempt to try and keep Yua Kusunoki from finding out where exactly he was, after she had sent an email requesting that they talk. Unfortunately for Takumi, going through the two familiar places of which Yua knew about was definitely a poor decision on his part. And as it happens, Yua, not finding him at his base, chose to go to the only other location he could possibly be, which was At Cafe itself. So, yeah, Takumi, hate to break it to you, but you kind of brought this on yourself. And once again, we have the green and red ECG monitors blazing furiously in the upper corners of the screen there. I wonder whether or not this might actually lead to a delusion, or whether it won't in the case of Senna, because there are some instances where that is the case. But just in case we do experience delusions here, we're going to start with the positive delusion first. If I knew it, Yua had pressed down on my shoulders with stunning strength, and I couldn't get up from my chair either. Yua's gaze pierced me coldly at blank range. When I averted my eyes, unable to endure it, I saw the three Garo froggies attached to the bag hanging from her shoulder. Hello to you again, Garo froggies. I just interrupted Yua's talking there.
声を出さないで。
I had the feeling that she'd kill me if I fought back. Thus, unresisting, I simply nodded at everything Yua said. There was clearly something wrong with Yua Kusunoki. Definitely something wrong.
どうしても伝えたかった。好き。好きなの。分かってる。大好き。分かってよ。私のものになって。
Of course, as we understand, this is clearly a delusion that Takumi is having, given the amount of stress that he's feeling right about now. But in this case, well, it seems like Yua is behaving like the textbook definition of a yandere. I thought that a confession of love would be more romantic, more heartrending, more joyful. This was different, terrifying. My back went cold. Though she should have been confessing her love to me, it felt as if I were receiving a death sentence. That's the textbook definition of yandere behavior. I had no choice but to turn her down here and now. She's merely a stalker. At this rate, things really will go past the point of no return. Things have already gone past the point of no return. I forcibly shook off Yua's hands.
お断りだ。警察に突き出すぞ。
And all of a sudden, Yua went pale, as if she received quite a shock. She hung her head, growing more timid with every passing moment.
そんなに嫌われてたなんて。ごめんなさい。もう付きまといません。さようなら、西条くん。
Pulling away from me, she turned her back to me with sagging shoulders. She left the room with faltering footsteps. I said it. I'd said it. Seeing Yura cry was, on the contrary, rather refreshing. It made me helplessly happy to think that I'd finally been freed from my stalker. Alone, I unconsciously started striking macho poses. Well, that would be great if this wasn't a delusion, but sadly it is. And all of a sudden, Yura is back to her usual behavior. I came back to myself with a gasp. As before, Yura was in front of me, covering my mouth. Yep, which, of course, once again belied the delusion, which was, how could Takumi have spoken with Yua's hand covering his mouth? But anyway, I digress. And of course, back to our hostage situation. Time to delve into the realm of madness with the negative delusions. I would say, how can anything possibly be worse than this, but I have a feeling we're about to find out. Yua slowly lifted her hand away. As soon as I tried to shout, she covered my mouth again. It was hard to breathe.
どうして声を出すの？約束したの。
It was definitely a bad move on your part, Takumi.
したよね。したって言って。したでしょ。したよ。
Yua had an abnormally strong grip. At the same time that she sealed my mouth, she clenched my jaw until it creaked. My terror reached its zenith. My knees started shivering. All I could do was desperately nod in answer to Yua's quiet, emotionless words. At that, Yua finally relaxed her grip on my jaw, but she didn't take away her hand like before. Shit, she was a genuine stalker. I never dreamed she would show up here. No, I would have been able to predict this if I had thought about it more carefully. I'd only remember just now, but I'd spotted Yua here on the first day we met. She'd been scoping me out from next door in room 36. Yeah, which made coming here and hiding out here a very bad plan. There'd been no meaning in taking refuge here. I'd acted unbelievably careless.
ごめんなさい。
When Yua whispered in a low voice, as though to keep anyone nearby from hearing, her tone had reverted to its usual timidity. It was like she had multiple personalities. She was seriously ill.
驚かせちゃいましたよね。
I wonder about that. You know what? We didn't get a delusion sequence this time around, which is rather interesting. So I'm going to go back to the crosswords yet again and see how different reality is. Back here again, and this time straight into reality, no delusions. And Yua's cold-hearted stare. What to do? What should I do? I struggled desperately to think of a way to escape this situation, but it was no good. I couldn't maintain a calm train of thought. Struck by the perfect ambush, my mind had gone blank.
昨日あなたの家に行ったんですけど、いませんでしたよね。
Yeah, I thought as much.
夜まで待ってたんですけど。でも私を避けようとする西条くんの気持ちはよくわかります。
Understandable indeed, given the fact that you basically accused him of not only being Shogun, but the new-gen criminal altogether.
私、西条くんのこと騙してたわけだし。
If you understand that much, please don't have anything to do with me anymore. I don't have anything to discuss with the subordinate of Shogun. It's evil of you to trap a weakling like me. Yua lowered her eyes once, then showed some brief gestures of hesitation. Then she distinctly murmured a single phrase.
その目、誰の目？
Yeah. Definitely the last words that I'd ever thought I'd hear from Yua's lips, but I wonder if this is a prime example of Yua having maybe that whole controlling people with visual rebuilding isn't that far-fetched.
知ってますよね。
Yes, we do know that phrase all too well. Sorry about that, adventurers. I had to step away a little bit there. But yeah, Yua is confronting Takumi with the phrase, whose eyes, those eyes. And now that I think about it, that phrase was also used rather blatantly in the fourth new-gen incident. Which sadly is another strike against Takumi Nishijo as far as Yua herself is concerned, though she is clearly not in her right mind.
知らないなんて言わせません。
Again with that odd confrontational attitude.
ヴァンパイアのダイイングメッセージです。
Yeah, I called it.
ネットで公表されたことで渋谷で大流行中の言葉。
Indeed they did. They became a social media trend.
でも私、流行る前から知ってました。ヴァンパイアより前にこの言葉を使っている人がいたから。
Unfortunately.
将軍。前に見せましたよね。ナイトハルト、西条君と将軍のチャットログ。
Of course, there is probably no way that you would believe that Shogun is actually a rather bizarrely aged young man in a wheelchair.
そこで
Yes, indeed,
将軍が書き込んでました。
Shogun did use those very words.
その目、誰の目って。そして
Yu's face drew closer and closer to mine. Her voice was tranquil, but the eyes that glittered behind her glasses were frigid. She looked at me unwaveringly. I turned my eyes away.
将軍はあなた、つまり
In short, actually bring herself to say it.
お願いです、一条くん。もう。
Suddenly I noticed. Yua's hands were trembling. No, either that or had my own trembling simply passed into her hands. Also, her demeanor has shifted yet again. As I puzzled over this, outrageous words fell from Yua's lips.
人を殺すのはやめてください。
In other words, Yua still thinks that Takumi is the new gen criminal. Although thinking back to Takumi's encounter with Shogun, Shogun said the words, "You must awaken or more people will die." Which suggests to me, not that Takumi would make this leap of logic, that rather than broadcasting the new gen murders, Shogun himself is actually trying to warn Takumi. Of course, that little revelation of logic doesn't apply here in this particular situation. No, you're not going insane, Takumi. Yua Kusunogi is literally accusing you, Takumi Nishijo, of being the new gen criminal.
自覚がないんですね。でもそれも私には理解できます。西条くんに自覚があるはずないから。
Of what?
あなたは
Pity colored Yua's eyes. Though she had stared without movement at me up until then, she had abruptly lowered her gaze.
DIT 多重人格なんです。
Well, hate to be cruel in this instance, Yua Kusunogi. Oh, Kusunoki, sorry, I dropped the K there for some reason. But, I could throw that accusation right back at you. You yourself appear to have a multiple personality disorder of which you are currently unaware of. I have multiple personalities, you say?
最初はあなたのこと警察に突き出すつもりでした。
Indifferent to my bafflement, Yua continued speaking.
それが無理ならこの手でとも思ってました。
In other words, you sought to be a vigilante.
だけどあなたのこと調べていくうちにあなたも苦しんでるんだって分かって。
In the depths of her glasses, Yua's eyes once again settled on me. They made it look like as if she were appealing to me. That attitude of hers, which appeared to be one of concern for me, no matter how I looked at it, made my bones freeze.
私あなたを助けたい。
Her delusions were going out of control. The things she was saying totally contradicted each other. Really? Was it really self-contradictory?
だから病院に行きましょう。
Yeah, problem with that. Dr. Takashina is not there, or maybe hopefully he's recovered. That's probably a very tall order. I didn't understand myself very well. I posted in chats under the handle of Shogun without knowing it. Though I had no recollection of it, at some point I'd become friends with a girl named Rimi. I wasn't a somnambulist. There was no higher order existence manipulating me. Maybe the person behind me had literally been inside my heart. A me who wasn't me. A personality that wasn't me. Multiple personalities. My head ached. a piercing pain as if someone was stabbing my temples. It couldn't be. That scenario was pure nonsense. Who would believe such a thing? This too was Yua's fantasy. She was my enemy. She got in my way. She tried to fool me. She tried to break my heart. That she did. And Shogun had influence over the hospital. Does he? I wonder about that. And for some reason, Takumi is now referring to Dr. Takashima or Takashina as Dr. Takashi. Either a pet name, familiar name, or a typo, I wonder. Anyway, the one person I could rely on had gone away all too suddenly and unnaturally. Shogun must have erased him. I'd get erased too if I'd listened to Yua and went there with her. I won't believe her. Yeah, things are definitely spiraling out of control, adventurers, but that is going to be it for this episode of Let's Play ChäoS Ed. And when we return, adventurers, we shall see where exactly the rabbit hole will lead us. Probably nowhere good. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.